Hey everybody, welcome back to Number 2 Old for YA. Today we're going to be discussing some of our favorite shows of all time. Give you guys a chance to get to know us better through our taste in TV shows. Feel free to interact with us on social media. You can find us on Instagram and Facebook at Never the Number 2 Old for YA. This podcast is streaming on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio, YouTube, and Facebook.
About shows that should have had more seasons.
That's a good one. Okay, go ahead.
For me, I don't know if it should still be on Netflix because I've seen it on there whenever I search for it. But there's a show actually called Spinning Out, and it's about the main character has bipolar disorder, and her mom does too. And it's just basically how they've managed their bipolar, but it's also just an overall interesting show because there's a lot of character development and there's a love story and
she's an ice skater.
Yeah, there we go. It sounds weird, the premise sounds weird with that, that she's an ice skater, but you, Kelsey, too, can tell them that you were surprised about it too, that you liked it.
Yeah, I was because I never really watched a show about ice skating or anything. I don't really have much interest in sport, but it actually made me kind of interested.
Yeah, and that show only had one season, and I think that they were talking about making another season, but they just never did. And yeah, they just decided that they weren't going to make another season, and I was like, dang it. That sucks. I would definitely recommend it to anybody to watch it.
I don't know. I might have to sit there and watch that. The only thing is I don't want to watch something and get into it and then it's canceled, because okay, so like I said, my favorite show of all time is How I Met Your Mother. Colby Smulders, who plays Robin in How I Met Your Mother, she did a show called Stumptown on ABC, and it only got one season. It was so good. Okay, so it has to do with Colby Smulders. She is a really bad alcoholic. And her fiance had died. Her fiance, her ex-boyfriend, was Native American, and his mom owns a casino on the reservation. She lives on the reservation, everything's happening on the reservation. But Colby Smulders, her life's just out of control. Her ex-boyfriend died and she just couldn't get over it. And she has a brother who she's responsible for, who has Down syndrome, and he's such a smart kid. And I loved watching that whole, brother with Down syndrome who cares and is very protective of his older sister. And he becomes friends with this bartender who his sister's she's always at that bar. So they all become really close friends, and just a series of things happen that you feel for this girl, but also you feel bad that she's an alcoholic, but also you're just get your stuff together. You know what I mean? Pick yourself up, get your life together. And I'm so sad that only got one season. I think that's the only one that I really was man, that was one that got away. Or another one. I'm sorry. One more. I'm sorry. Manifest. Have you guys seen Manifest?
No.
I don't think so.
You guys watch Manifest. I was so devastated when they canceled Manifest. It literally left us with so many questions dead in the middle of a sentence. And they were like, nope, we're done. We're not going to make another one. We're like, what the heck? We were already there. All we needed, it was just going to answer all of our questions. Thank God for Netflix that picked it up and are giving it its last season, because man, was that heart-wrenching to be no, we're never gonna see the end of what's gonna happen. And Please watch Manifest. So good.
So one of mine is Resurrection. And so it's about this small town in the Midwest. This couple had lost their son. I believe he drowned or died in a car accident. I don't remember. I need to brush up on the show. I haven't seen it in years. But so like their son died really young, like I don't know, like 8 or 10, I think 7 maybe. And all of a sudden one day he just appears out of nowhere. Like he's back. Like still the same age he was when he died and everything, like, but totally fine, totally like walking, talking, living, breathing, see him, touch him, he's there. And so he's like back from the dead, basically. Like they're trying to figure out what's going on. And then little by little, that same thing starts happening with people all over the town who had died. Like there's this one young couple who the girlfriend or fiance had died, and she was pregnant when she passed away. I think she passed away in a car accident, and the baby died too. And she comes back to life, still pregnant, and has the baby. And the little boy's grandma came back from the dead too. And I think she's like trying to help this lady take care of the baby and stuff. And like the ex-boyfriend is like trying to figure out, like, you know, does he still want a life with her? Because he, like, this is like years and years later. Like he's moved on. He's a pastor at a church, I think. He has a family already, like, you know, and he's kind of trying to choose between like her and his current situation. And he's just like blown away by the fact that all of a sudden she's back. And Omar Epps is in it. He was in House also, another great TV show, by the way. But he plays like a government investigator who was sent to this town where all this is happening, and he ends up in a relationship with like one of the doctors in town who's like trying to figure out like also what's going on with everybody that's coming back from the dead, and like they're working together. But it was a really good show, and it only got like I think 2 or 3 seasons.
That sounded so good. I would have definitely watched that. I want to. That was so good. I don't want to fall in love with it and then not be able to watch any more of it.
Yeah, it's very true. And the crappy thing about it too was that it ended on a cliffhanger. They were kind of insinuating like that baby that was born from the lady who had died was like the Antichrist or something. And Jacob, the little boy like who was the original one to come back, his grandma is like kind of like evil or something, and like she's like dealing with the baby and stuff too, like, and I don't know, it was just really like it was like insinuating that like the baby's gonna grow to be evil or something, and then it stopped there. But it would have been really interesting to see how it played out.
You lost me. All right, I won't watch it. You lost me there, ma'am.
Why?
But I don't know. I just creepy things like that. I just can't do it. I hate spooky, scary. I don't like it. I freak out easily and my heart starts racing and it's just too much for me. I can't. But the way you were talking about that show, it's kind of like Manifest. So I'm pretty sure you've heard of it. Manifest is basically these people get on a plane. Their plane disappears. No one can find them. They're all presumed dead. They don't know where the plane went. How about the plane lands 5 years later? So these people on the plane had only taken like an 8-hour plane ride. But when they landed, they lost 5 years of their life.
What?
And they're all they're all connected in some way. They can hear things. They can, like, it's just so crazy. It is so good. And I didn't want to watch it for a really long time. My aunt and uncle had told me to watch it, and then I had forgotten about it. Again, Netflix, thanks. Promotion for free here. They grabbed me and I watched it. and it was so good. You guys, I think you would like this a lot, Kels. It is so good. People just move on with their lives, and the people that land on the plane are like, I can't tell you too much because I really want you to watch this show. It's so good. But yeah, it's insane roller coaster ride, and it is so good. Please watch it.
It sounds cool. Another show that I really liked, that didn't get enough seasons, and I think it kind of ended abruptly. Like there was supposed to be another season, but then they canceled it, I think. Was Devious Maids.
Yes. Yes, yes, yes. I loved that show.
It sounds like it was funny.
It was really funny.
It was so funny, and it was like it wasn't funny like like screaming your head off. It was very witty and just very, I don't know, it was a murder mystery type thing, like that, just everything was happening, but it was witty, and these women, they were so funny. They were just, it was like a sisterhood of devious maids.
Mm-hmm. It was produced by one of the actresses on Desperate Housewives, Eva Longoria Parker. So she's behind that. And it does have kind of that Desperate Housewives kind of feel to it. Like of like the drama and like just the things that go on like in the group and stuff, like the gossip and stuff like that.
That's another good show, Desperate Housewives. There's another good show also, I believe got canceled on HBO Max. I don't remember. I think it's called Why Women Kill.
That sounds familiar.
I'd never heard of that show.
I thought that was like a documentary though, like a 48 hours kind of show.
No, it's called Why Women Kill. So each season, both seasons, there's only 2 seasons right now. Each season is a different story. So for instance, the first season is actually my favorite. It takes you along 3 different decades, right? And you follow these 3 different women in 3 different decades, but they all share the same house. Basically, in that house, 3 murders occurred, and you're following like each woman's story in that decade of what's going on in their lives and how it came to that they, the murder took place, whoever was murdered there. So good. I could not stop watching it. Loved it. I don't know if they're going to come out with a season 3. I haven't really read up on it. I hope they do. But also I hope they don't, because season 2 really wasn't my favorite. It was cool. Like it was a different story for just one woman this time, and basically on how desperate she was to be in the in crowd that it drove her to kill. And it was so good though still. But that's another good one on HBO Max that people should really be watching. It's definitely hard to like follow along, so just, if you're gonna watch it, it's something you have to sit there and pay attention to, not like, do dishes while watching it. But yeah, that's another good show. I'm in this funk of rewatching shows right now. I am going to make it a goal to pick something new, so any suggestions are welcome. Just nothing spooky, scary, horror. That's not me. I wish that will never be me, but I am open to suggestions.
I already know my suggestion, but you said that you had watched it already, some of it, and you didn't really get into it that much. But Dexter's a really good show.
For you, Amber, I'll try again.
Aw.
What can we watch it at? Or on? What app?
It's on Showtime.
All right, I'll try it again.
And yeah, like the first season is like kind of slow, but you do get to know more about like, with Dexter's like background history and like, everything. But I mean, I think it's really worth watching. Like try to get through all the seasons.
Because it is definitely something I'm interested in. Like that has me written all over it. Like I love anything like serial killer. I know that sounds really bad. It sounds really bad, but I love shows like that. I don't know, maybe it's the way the show's like set up or what's going on. Not gonna lie, I probably watched 3 episodes and not like sat there watching it. Maybe that's the problem. But all right, you talked me into it. That's my no suggestions needed. Amber already gave me one.
All right.
Just kidding. That was fun, you guys.
It
It
was.
was.
Thank you, Amber, for joining us today.
No problem.
I hope that you're on more bumper episodes. That was so fun.
It was. Thank you for having me.
All right, everybody. So next week we're going to be starting a new book called Every Last Word by Tamara Ireland Stone. And this book doesn't have chapter numbers. Like, all the chapters are just named. So we're going to be reading from 6 months earlier to keep a secret. We hope you enjoy the start of the new book, and we will talk to you next week.
Thanks, everybody, for listening to this week's episode of Never Too Old for YA. We hope that you had as much fun as we did. Please follow us on Instagram and Facebook at never2old4YA. We're streaming on Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Facebook, and iHeartRadio. We're so excited to start this next book. Until next time, bye!